So after I've created the map, Mudbox automatically in my paint layers actually creates a bump map, and here I can preview how it will look like. So I turn off my sculpt layer, and you see that the 1024 by 1024 which we saved out was too low resolution. So I'm turning that off, and I made a higher resolution displacement map, which you can see here. And I also exported the same way throughout the UV extract texture maps. I extracted a normal map, which you can do here in the same menu. And this is the normal map here. And both of these got already saved on my desktop, but it's kind of handy that you can also, within the paint layers, actually see them. But you can also turn them off and actually look at your original sculpt layer right here. But we are ready actually to move into Rhino. So here I'm going to, oops, not insert. I am going to import the same Mudbox model that I just used. So because I didn't edit the geometry, I can use the same model that I exported from Mesh Mixer. If I would have edited anything in Mudbox of the geometry itself, I would just export the same model from Mudbox as an OBJ and import that into Rhino. It would be exactly the same process. So here I can go into rendered mode, and it will automatically, so Rhino does automatically display the texture. I don't need to additionally import it. If I import it from Mudbox, I do have to manually apply it, and that is the same process as what I'll show here. So I'm using a Vray. Here's a Vray asset editor, and here's the material tab, and I will create a new generic material here. Below there's a little button that says add material, and I just choose generic. And here you'll see that the diffuse channel, the same one that we just already encountered, is right here, and that again is the color information. So on this checkerboard field, I can click on it and then choose bitmap, and the same bright texture that I saved out earlier, I can select that now, open, and apply onto my object. And it will take a second to process because it's kind of a big file, a big PNG file. So now we have it in the preview, and I can right click onto this material. I will just call it, I'll give it a name, I'll call it texture. And here I right click on it and say apply to selection. And you will see that the geometry, the image will actually update with my new painted on texture. So you see here where we use the stamp tool, and here we brightened up the texture so it looks a little different from before. So if I render this now, it will look pretty much like in the viewport, but I can now add in my displacement map. So here within the material options, there's the maps tab, and here you can add displacement. You have to turn it on in the same way that you're applying an image to the diffuse channel. You can add an image to the displacement channel. So displacement, you can really see it as a kind of extrude. So same thing here, bitmap, and then I choose my Rhino displacement, in this case XL, and the thing is, it won't show up in your screen. The bump normal mapping, which is very similar, and you can combine those two. You can import that one, and that will actually kind of give you a preview on your screen. So this is the high resolution one that I exported. So this one you will sort of see, but it will still look different than in the render. Oh, that seems like that was the wrong render. So, oh, this is the right one. Those are pretty big files, so even though they're not geometry, even the image files can take a second to update. So yeah, here's our original stamp. We can see sort of a preview of it. But if you now hit render, just the default render without any additional settings. So you do that here, render with Vray, and I pre-rendered this just because the rendering itself will take a few minutes. So I'll just abort this and show you the render that I made with that same technique. So here, within my tutorial files, so you can see the render right here. So here you can see the displacement map without any actual geometry. It sort of extruded and generated a texture that doesn't add any weight to our original model. And you can also see here these painted areas are kind of brightened up, and I'm getting kind of a white background to kind of isolate my object as an alpha channel. And this is it. This is how you can create high-res renders with high-res textures from photogrammetry models.